Seeing inside science can tell you all sorts of things. Jupiter, Saturn, repairing satellites, repairing Earth, and even repairing USBORNE. So today, we will be exploring all the stuff about USBORNE Seeing Inside Sciences. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Shunhan Productions. And let's see you in the depth zone. Alright, so what is the depth zone? It's just a word I made up, alright guys? It has literally no definition. It's just a word I made up. Now, today we'll be talking about this USBORNE flat book, Seeing Inside Science. So, let's get started. Alright. First of all, we have to go back to the beginning. Literally. You might have heard of the Big Bang Theory. No, not the TV show. Not the TV show that I'm a pretty big fan of. And Stephen Hawking, who proved some stuff in Genius Sheldon's work, there is a literal Big Bang. Boom! First of all, it expanded like this. Okay. This is slow-mo, guys. Slow-mo. And that is how the universe was born. How do you know all this? Because there was probably some pigeons that were blamed for it, but instead it was found out there was some radioactivity left from this Big Bang. But it wasn't a real Big Bang because, well, it was a vacuum. There was nothing, literally nothing except the cosmic egg, so there was no sound. Yeah, no sound. So yeah. And then, from then on, science was one of the greatest stuff that happened in the whole universe revolutions. Alright, these were heavenly bodies. Heavenly bodies. Now, there was literally a lot of stuff here. Now, stars are formed by collisions of atoms and electrons, very, very high atoms together. Yes. And then some other scientists have discovered some black holes and studied them, such as Stephen Hawking and his disability ASL cheekbones. And it is said that if you are able to go through the whole kind of black hole, you will be able to go to another universe, or possibly the other side of the universe. The exact location, but on the other side of the universe. And that's where George was born, and the George's Secret Key to the Universe. Read those books as much as you can. And now, here is also a ball of light, a ball streaking of light. It's actually just not a fireball, but it is actually just a ball of ice that is melting away. Usually melts away when it's already entering our atmosphere. And here's the Mir Space Station, or the ISS. I want to say this is in the setting to the Mir Station, but I like to pretend that this is the ISS. Inside you only float around. Floating, and we'll get back to black holes in a minute. This is Jupiter, which is made of poisonous gas. And this is Saturn, which is made up, his rings are made up of dust, rock, and ice. This is the moon, and it might become the first human colony. This is Earth. Also, you can get into 12 hours when you're over Africa and stay there when you are floating. Then after 12 hours, you will be over the Pacific Ocean and you'll fall in, if you're landing there, that is. And this is a TV show satellite. TV show satellite. But with radioactive, radioactive solar flames, it can travel all the way to our place and destroy it into these little debris parts. But there are still loads of other TV satellites that we can use. Alright. This is what happens after a star dies. And now let's say some theories about the black holes. Black holes, it is said that if Stephen Hawking worked with another scientist and said that if you are able to go to the middle of a black hole, you will be able to see something that is called a singularity. A singularity is that all the mass of the world is put into one small mass, which is looking just like this. Oh, it fell out of my hand. This right here is the singularity of a black hole. Yeah. And this is the middle point of a black hole, the middle point of a black hole. And from there on, if you bang on it like Thor's hammer, then it can literally tear off the rule book of physics as we know it. This is exactly what I mean here. Rule book of physics, not that cool if you ask me. Now, on to the next page. Now, I already spent 5 minutes talking about this, so let's get focused on other parts. Now, this is life science. In life science, there's loads of things here. Now, first of all, if you just look at this part, don't speed back to see what it really is. If you just look at this part, it looks more like a piece of firearms. So this looks like fire, but it's actually the arm of a gibbon. Don't speed back, Kyle. Don't speed back. Here's a close-up view of the firearm. Alright, now let's remove this paper. And this is the real gibbon. Back up, please. And now, this is exactly what I want to talk about for this part of the episode. This is life science, where I want to talk all about life. There are butterflies, which contain genes of DNA, and then there's a gibbon who has loads of things inside him. There's viruses inside his blood. I'll try to get a close-up view for you guys. There's a virus in his blood. There's some cells inside his stomach that can help break down bacteria. And there's also some fleas or lice inside his hairs. Yep, lice. And now let's talk about evolution. This is a large big bird, and these are his brothers. His brothers are trying to crack open these nuts. And now these nuts right here are trying to get cracked open by these finches with small beaks but sharp. And now the big bird can crack these beaks very well. And so his brothers will die, and he will be the only one who lives. And now, this idea was proposed by natural selection of evolution by Charles Darwin. This guy over here. And now let's talk about reproduction. Reproduction, the basis of all life. Right here, there is a cell who multiplies itself and keeps on multiplying until there is enough for a baby to form. And that's the reason why mummies' tummies are big and kind of fat when they have babies. And now let's look at the food web. This food web is a combination of food chains, which shows what is getting eaten by what. These arrows show who is eating what. This cheetah is eating the dung beetle, and this dung beetle is getting eaten by the zebra. Yeah. And this grass is getting eaten by zebras, ostriches, and ants. Yes, that is true. And now, there are some weird things about dung beetles. Dung beetles don't eat any of these creatures. Don't ever eat any of them. But why they're called dung beetles is because they eat their dung. Blech. Eating your own poop is yucky. Now, here's a story about my own poop, but I'm not going to say it because it's so yucky. On to the next part. Now, this is all about life science again, but it is zoomed in like 10 times. Like this. Now, this is a cell. A cell is like one of the basic life building blocks, like Lego pieces that makes you up. A cell is made up of the nucleus, which is the cell's brain. Now, the nucleus is what contains all of these DNA. And that's where the nucleus is stored, in these X-shaped things called chromosomes. That blue dots right here is the part where they store all the fats. When they release it, they give it to mitochondria, which changes them to cell power. And now this is where all the instructions that the nucleus gives goes to. This is like this mail station of the cell. And the rest is empty water space. No, not exactly empty space, but it is filled with water that keeps everything in the cell afloat, like an organ of our own body. Now, other parts now these kind of work similar to computers as we know today. The computers have their own type of cells, which have different types of functions, like CPUs and all that stuff. And then there are atoms. This is a fake atom. This is not an oxygen atom, but it's actually a fluorine atom because it has 9 protons and 9 electrons. I counted them. Yeah, so there. This is a water molecule. This is oxygen, hydrogen, hydrogen. Now this is just a close-up presentation, but I guess in this case we can call it H2O. And now onto the next page, where we go into my favorite part of chemistry. Well, not exactly there yet. And now this is the secret of electricity. This is a nuclear power plant. This nuclear power plant is the place where it uses steam to make power. And sometimes they use this to make bombs. And now this electricity is made by static electricity, which is the same stuff that makes your hair sticks to the balloons when you rub the balloons on your hair. And now this right here is all of the pollution stuff, nuclear pollution. Solar panels makes solar days, makes solar things, gets the sun's energy to make it into electricity. Only on sunny days though. Without a sunny day, there's pretty useless. Like an alarm clock that I set up but forgot to turn off. It's useless then. And now brakes. Now this that powers the steam car is this piston. And then watching out, brakes can break when you brake too hard. It can actually break your rubber tires. And these trees are specially formed to fight the wind, but not fall off. Not fall off their roots, but not break. That is, just don't break. Okay, just don't break. If you wave a very strong magnet over these coils, it will start glowing the light bulb. It will start glowing the light bulb right here. But yeah, this flip book is pretty hard to make you to give some presentations. Before that. And now onto something else. The periodic table of elements. And now, this part of the periodic table, we said, very good story. In the next episode. See ya!